Hey everybody, what's going on? Andrew and John here, as always, and this is Sasquatchers. Tonight we have a really cool and interesting guest that I'm excited to talk to. She's a paranormal investigator that's kind of been taking the internet by storm, and we're going to introduce her right after the intro.
The truth is out there. Never stop looking. Never be sheep. Always disrupt. We are the ungovernable. We are the truth seekers. We are Sasquatchers.
And we are here with Brie Hollingshead, and we were surprised to see that she was coming to the podcast in the middle of an investigation. So, how's it going tonight?
It's going really well. Thank you guys so much for having me on. I mean, I'm so excited to get to talk to you guys, and I've been watching you guys, what you do, and following. So this is always exciting when I finally get to like meet the people that are doing the shows. I love it.
Well, that excitement will go down as we go through.
Oh, stop.
As soon as he starts dropping his bad jokes, you'll quickly see why everybody actually.
I got them lined up.
He's got his list of dad jokes right there on the desk.
Waiting.
So we're good to go.
He wishes that they were dad jokes.
Oh, burn.
Bad jokes, dad jokes.
Little of both categories.
The first letter around. It's all he did. You know?
Yeah, but we have also been checking your workout. And I was excited that you said that you would come on because after we created the show, I've just kind of been inundated with the paranormal and meeting investigators, and kind of I've been doing my due diligence to try to just absorb it all and take it in, and been meeting people daily at this point, and it's been an incredible experience. But one thing that I can say is that as far as content created, I feel like what you're doing is just a step above everybody else. I think it's really, really cool. And maybe I was maybe exaggerating to myself, but it seems like you're just always on the move, and you're just like in a new location like every other day.
Oh, yeah, no, that's the truth.
It takes like fortitude to do that, like all of the traveling and stuff. So I was just like when I found your social medias, I was just immediately taken aback because like the amount of work that would go into this is just daunting to me. I drove to Ohio yesterday, like I had mentioned off the air. We were filming our own documentary, and I just spent 8 hours between yesterday and today in my car, and I can't imagine coming home and then after 8 hours in that car, now I'm doing something else. Like it's another investigation. So it's sick, and like there's a work ethic that I haven't seen yet by a lot of other people. So again, thank you for coming on. I can't wait to hear
shade
more
at all of
stuff.
our past guests. You guys were lazy. Step it up.
Sorry, guys. Not sorry, but
yeah.
No. I mean, it's a lifestyle. The grind is real. I actually had somebody in September tell me to go and get my name out there, and because of what I was doing. And they were like, don't stop. Whatever you do, don't stop. And I actually had lost my job because of what I do. So I lost my job, and I was like, all right, like I've been doing this for a few months, you know, every weekend, like going to historically haunted locations, giving the background on the location. And I had just come off of a 2-week road trip, my first road trip. I actually filmed 2 episodes for a TV show that's going to be dropping here this year called Anomaly. And I was just like, all right, what can I do to get my name out there? And I love going to these historical locations and getting these locations well known, because a lot of these locations, people, you don't know unless you're from the state, and sometimes you can even be from the state and not even know that the location even exists. Like one of my favorite locations is Broadhead Manor up in Broadhead, Wisconsin. I lived in Wisconsin from 2009 to 2020. I never even knew this place existed. I had no clue about it. So, I got to actually highlight it in August. I became really good friends with the owner, Bill Walter. He's one of my favorite people in life. He's become like a brother to me. He's basically family. And I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff with Broadhead here in 2024. Actually, there's a Paracon on June 1st and 2nd called Spirits in the Spring that's being led by Shadow Hunters, a paranormal group. And I've been invited to go up there and be a special guest speaker for the Paracon. So you'll see me up there doing that. And, all money raised minus what's raised at your table. If you're a vendor coming in, whatever you sell at your table, of course you get to keep that money. But like your admittance fee, the vendor fees for the tables, any of the extra stuff that they have, like the investigations, all that money goes right back into restoring that property. And that's become like hugely important to me, is what can we do to like save these historic landmarks? I mean, it's bad enough that they're tearing down all these monuments. We should be preserving our history so we learn from it. I'm a mom. I've got 3 children. I love history. I actually wanted to be a history teacher, but I was too shy growing up. And so that scared me from like standing in front of a classroom and trying to teach children. But so it's like now I'm getting to teach history, but I'm also getting to teach, the haunting that goes along with it. I'm bringing a whole new twist to the narrative of, and I'm making it fun. Like my kids, they have a blast. They love to go and do this stuff with me. They love to go. My 7.5-year-old, I don't tell her the haunting stuff. She's too little for that, but she gets to go to places and like she'll see the displays with like the antebellum, like, Civil War type dresses that the women would wear, and like the children's clothes that they'll have hanging up and their toys. And she is like enthralled, like, oh my God, women wore, mommy, this dress is so pretty. And I'm like, yeah, could you imagine how heavy that was? Like I'm getting to take history and teach it in a whole new hands-on fashion. And because I do everything live through my StreamYard, and now I'm also able to do live on TikTok, I'm able to bring it to a whole new audience and teach everybody the history that goes along with these locations, and, work with property owners, location owners, and help them get their names out there so they can, get the foot traffic. And especially with COVID, we lost in the not just paranormal community, but like in the history community. We lost a lot of locations because that funding wasn't coming in from people coming in to, go on the tours, do the investigations. They didn't have the field trips, so the schools weren't paying for, things that would help keep these locations open. And with COVID, not only did they just shut down, they never reopened because they didn't have the funding to stay afloat. So my goal with what I'm doing is I'm trying to bring as much light and attention as I possibly can to locations that are genuinely putting the money back into the location to restore and preserve the history that's there. So that way my children's children, like however long we're going to be here for, they can learn everything that needs to be learned, from the past. So I went on a 3-week tour out to the East Coast, which was absolutely amazing. I got to see Letchworth Village. I got to see Norwich State Hospital. I mean, a lot of amazing locations. Got to meet a lot of amazing people. Got to do some really cool collabs. I collabed with Brian J. Cano when I was out on the East Coast. Who else did I collabed with so many people. It's insane. But there's so many people out there that are doing the same thing, that want to preserve our history and want to get the information out to the public on these locations, to try to save them from demolition, to try to save them from just collapsing in on themselves. One thing that's real big on the East Coast is that like a city or a county will buy like Medford State Hospital which was used in oh my god, I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was a Leonardo DiCaprio movie. And Shutter Island, I think that's the
Yeah,
name of
yeah,
it.
Shutter Island. Yep.
And other movies have been filmed out there. Well, the city of Medford, they bought Medford Hospital, and they've preserved as much as they can, but it's like it's a big park. You don't have access to the buildings and stuff. And so a lot of movies go out there, they film, and you're probably hearing REM pods go off in the background right now on an SB7 box as well. My boyfriend Nick is like, we're in the middle of an investigation, so you're going to be hearing him investigating in the other room. I apologize,
No,
but
don't apologize. It's awesome. Like we said, that's a Sasquatcher's first. So we're like first
Never
hand
would
hearing.
expect it.
I'll actually at one point I'll get up and I'll walk out and I'll flip the camera angle if I can, so that way you guys can see what equipment we've got running in the house that we're in. This is actually a segue real quick, but we're actually in a private residence, and I'll give more information on that so in a second. But I've gotten the chance to work with some really amazing people, A-list celebs, property owners. I ended up doing a collab with Chris Smith from Hulu's Monster Inside. I don't know if anybody's heard of that.
Yeah,
But
I watched that.
Yeah.
okay, so you know who Chris Smith is. Chris Smith has become like my brother. I absolutely adore Chris. He's still out there trying to bring attention because the McCamey Manor is still up and running. Russ is still moving around. He's still dragging people through hell and back. And they're trying to get it stopped. So Chris and we did a collab in 2023, where in October I went up to, when I came back from my 3-week trip, he brought me up to Michigan, and I went through Halloween haunts. I didn't do any extreme haunts, but I did the Halloween haunts with him. We went to Eloise Asylum, which was really cool because we got to go through the tunnels, and the tunnels are only accessible for the Halloween haunt. You can't actually investigate if you go there for an investigation. And then we went to another haunt. Part 2, we went to Wildwood Sanitarium and had a really interesting twist in the middle of that. And that was during actually no when I went to Michigan, that was right before my 3-week trip. Wildwood was the last thing that I did on my 3-week trip. And what people didn't know until they started watching was I was at Wildwood Sanitarium for 17 hours completely alone, nobody else with me. Chris was actually in the safety of his own home behind his computer, giving me challenges that I had to complete while I was there. So it was a 2.5-hour production that we did. And I still stayed afterwards. I didn't leave until the next day. So that was pretty amazing. And then we met up in the end of November at Madison Seminary and did like an investigation, and almost got snowed in while we were there. It was the first big snowstorm of the season. So, but it took off with what we did with Wildwood. So now we're running what's called Remotely Paranormal. It's a new series. You can catch it on the Haunted Road Trip YouTube, my YouTube, and also on my Facebook page, where I go and spend the night in a haunted location completely alone. And for 2.5 hours, Chris is in the safety of his own home, giving me challenges to complete and giving background information.
Wait, I'm so into this. It's like a game show almost, like a twisted version of a game show.
It is, and everybody loves it. But what's really cool is that because I do everything live, like this is the one thing that I love, is because I do everything live. The viewer you're investigating with me, which is something that you don't get from a TV show. It's something that you don't get from YouTube, because when you think about it, it's if it's a TV show, you're like, what, the investigation is typically 4 to 5 days long, and then it's edited down into a 45-minute segment, even if it's streamed. YouTube, you have a paranormal team going in, but it's still edited down to like what, hour and a half, maybe 2 hour long investigation. Whereas when you're with me from start to finish live, and you're going to have real-time EVPs. I mean, it's as if you had the headphones on and you're listening to one of those new EVP recorders where you can listen live as the EVPs are coming through. You guys are going to be seeing the shadow figures. You're going to be seeing possible orbs. You're going to be seeing possible, hearing the disembodied. I mean, there's so many different things that the live audience catches that I don't catch. Like the very first episode of Remotely Paranormal, we did December 17th at the mysterious Monroe House. And I've become good friends with the owners, Eddie and Pam Norris. And, it's unfortunately that location has been dubbed the Monroe Demon House. And for me, I feel like the word demon is used way too much. And it negatively affects properties, and it negatively affects the property owners, because you got to think people are going to get scared. They're not going to want to go in. They're not going to put their money in there. I mean, I understand the whole clickbait thing. I understand people need to make money, but it negatively, there's a trickle effect. It's like throwing a rock into a pond. You got that ripple effect, and it eventually ends up financially affecting these locations negatively. I'm not saying that there's not demons. I'm not saying that there's not evil things out there, but we got to be real careful with how we label locations because of the negative effects that it has on the families that own these locations, Um, is there something that's kind of pissed off that lives at Monroe? Oh, hell yes. Is it a demon? Definitely not. And so I chose for Remotely Paranormal's, maiden voyage, so to speak, I chose Monroe because I have such a fondness for Eddie and Pam. I absolutely adore them. There's nothing I would not do to help them with Monroe. And I want to put Monroe in a better light. I want to show that a female, not just that somebody can go and investigate, but hey, if a female can go in and spend all night by herself and be in a location for 17 hours and she's not attacked by a demon, like it
Yep.
makes you think. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, I'm not saying that there's not something there that's not nice. I know that there's a spirit there that's not nice, but I was a walking target and nothing happened, and it makes you think, so it's like I'm trying to put these properties in better perspective too when I pick the locations for Remotely Paranormal. And like my hashtag is be like Brie. My big thing right now is a lot of people are like, oh, you're so self-centered, blah 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 blah, and it's like, no, I'm trying to encourage people to start taking, everybody's got a bucket list. We all have bucket lists. I can't tell you how many years I raised my kids watching, Paranormal State with Heather Taddy and Ryan Buell, and
Yeah.
I mean, Chip Coffee, hello, I mean, Ghost Adventures up until it got like, possessed every 5 minutes. But Ghost Hunters, I raised them on these shows. And so it's like, you start making these bucket list locations, and I'm trying to encourage people, keep making your list, but don't make excuses anymore.
Yeah. Take
Go
initiative.
and do. And it doesn't matter if it's paranormal, or it doesn't have to be paranormal. I'm trying to be an example and an encouragement to not just women, but people all across the board. Go and tackle your bucket list. Continue to add to your bucket list, but go and start living your life. Stop making excuses. It's like having a kid. Finances are never going to freaking be there, people. It don't matter how much you think you've got to save up for a kid. You're never going to have enough. I've got 3. I'm a walking testament to this. You're never going to have enough money for kids. Okay. You're never going to have enough money to do, what you have on your bucket list. But if you go about it the smart way, and you start looking at well, if I do this, this, and this, what can I do? And you know what? You're going to meet people along the way that are going to be more than willing to help you out to conquer and accomplish your goals that you set out. That's why I get to do a lot of what I do. Is I people have seen what I've been doing, and people have been more than willing to help. A lot of people are like, how do you afford that? You don't have a job. I don't have a job, but I have a very fuel efficient car, and I've made amazing friends in the paranormal community where they've offered me a place to stay, so I don't have to worry about hotel. And you learn how to buy snacks the right way, it doesn't always have to be, a $20 fast food meal, but, I want to encourage people. And on top of that, I want to be, women need to be empowered. And, I've got my daughter. She's 7.5. She'll be 8 next month. And I've got her looking at me. And I want to show women, I want to show little girls that no matter what dream they have, and it applies for little boys too. It doesn't matter. Little girl, little boy. Guess what? It doesn't matter how old you are. I'm 43. I'll be 44 this year. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can always accomplish your goals. You can always tackle your dreams. You can conquer them. You can make it real. You can go and do and see. Christmas Eve, I finally got to go to Randolph County Infirmary or Asylum, however you want to look at it, and that was a huge, that was like the golden ticket in the candy bar for me, like I almost cried walking on the, like walking around and looking at everything. I was like, oh my God, I'm at Randolph. This is huge. Going and doing things is just, it's so important, and being that example to other people. I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade. I'm trying to encourage people, think outside of the box, think of the best thing that you can do to make yourself feel better about yourself, because if you're not good for you, you're not going to be good for anybody, so go out and do. But what's really cool is with Remotely Paranormal, the end of this month in January, Chris Smith and I have a massive event that's going on. It's called Cerberus. Now, if you know what Cerberus means, do you guys know?
I know what it means in X-Men.
The three-headed dog.
Yes, the Hellhound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am taking on the three-headed Hellhound.
Like just with your fists?
This is what it stands for, the three-headed Hellhound. January 26th, I'm going solo at Hinsdale. January 27th, I'm going solo at Para, Niagara, Western Block. Nick Groff has been there for season 3 and went back for season 4 of Deathwalker because of the amount of evidence, the insane stuff that happened to him when he was there in season 3. And then the 28th of January, I'm taking on the third head, Wildwood Sanitarium. So, yeah. Guys,
really
make
cool.
sure you got your comfy clothes, your popcorn. Make sure you got your snacks, because that's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night right there for you. I got your weekend taken care of.
Geez, yeah.
You guys can have date night at home.
Well, I mean, my wife and I could have date night, but John's probably not allowed to come. We'll see. He can stream with us, maybe.
Wait, did you just bomb your own joke? This is the first one.
No, I'm not the joke guy. I'm the journalist guy. And this is how I divert away from that. So
I'm still trying to get a ghost
see...
phone number here.
I mean, I can start gabbing again if you want me to.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
Distract.
I leave the jokes to John, and that's why. It's easier to watch somebody else bob and make fun of him with my friends.
Nice.
Wait a minute.
Your passion, like, just shows, and just in that little snippet, the amount of passion that you're speaking with is it's encouraging. Like, obviously, you took the initiative, you started doing this stuff, and like they told you, don't stop, keep at it, and things are falling into place for you. And one thing that we can definitely all agree on is that the landscape of entertainment has changed so much that what you're doing is so unique. I think it has a place everywhere. So I think you're only going to continue to grow and have more eyes on the product. So that's something to also keep in mind. Like, I don't think you're far away from being that name, like that you name dropped so many people. Like, I don't think you're that far away from being a name for somebody else who is watching what you guys are doing. And don't let that be lost on you, because like you said, if you work hard, it will pay off. And especially in this area, it's such a niche still that the competition is tough, but it's also, you're not competing with television and producers and walking into boardrooms in Hollywood either. So, just the way that technology works now, everything is on your side. Like, like we said before, you are literally in the middle of an investigation while also being on this podcast. But you had dropped a lot of names for locations too, and I can't speak for John, but for me, I actually don't know a whole lot about these locations. And every time that
I
we
know
have
about
somebody on,
Wildwood. I
I
know about
assume that's
Wildwood,
in
but
New Jersey, right? Or
No,
is
that's in New York.
New York?
yeah.
Wildwood Sanitarium was it actually was a doctor's office. There was two doctors that set this up, and the Earl, like, I can't remember the exact date. Normally I'm better with my dates. I'm kind of tired right now too, guys. We've been packing this house up, and we're gonna be moving it all from here in Ohio up to where I've been living with Nick in Indiana tomorrow. Um, so bear with me. I've been going from investigations back to Ohio, packing and purging, to investigations, going to see Nick, and yeah, I've been everywhere. Um, so in the 19, I want to say 19, between 1920 and 1923, the state stepped in and made Wildwood become a tuberculosis hospital. So what they did is they only took in like the patients that had a higher survival rate, and then it ended up, like, through the years it became like apartments and whatnot, and it went up for sale. And the family that bought it, the mom actually just sold it to her daughter Brooke. So Brooke and her husband Zach now run it, and they're actually in the process of, they've got the pictures from the original, like when it was a hospital, when it was the sanitarium, and they are trying to restore it back to its original quality. Like, they actually did like electric shock baths. Basically, when it was a sanitarium, what they would do is, it was basically like you would sit in a bathtub and they would put like a car battery in there.
Oh wow, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
pretty
real
awful
good stuff.
sounding.
Yeah.
Better than the toaster I try to take a bath with.
I mean, they even had like it was almost like the first versions of like tanning beds for like UV therapy, but it was like high voltage light bulbs, and you kind of slid in like a CT scan, and yeah, it was kind of horrific. A lot of the stuff they did lobotomies there. The doctor that came up with lobotomies, he actually went on a tour around the country and went to Wildwood and performed lobotomies there, I believe, if I remember correctly. Um, so yeah, Wildwood has a pretty horrific story. Wildwood,
A lot of the
yeah, it's
tuberculosis hospitals seem like they do have some bad things going
The
that
first,
happened there
yeah,
and still going on there. Yeah,
yeah, the first
yeah.
episode that we did with a guest,
was it
it
tuberculosis?
was, we had the Crescent Sanatorium in Pennsylvania on,
Okay.
and if anybody's listening and they want to go back and listen to that, because it's like just about that one singular location, and they had a lot of information just about, like, very similar to that with the tuberculosis unit that was there, and it's also struggling to be preserved historically right now because somebody like a larger corporation had then bought it, and so we
What weren't they trying to sell it to the government to use as a
Well,
training ground?
yeah.
Crescent is in a massive, there's a lot going on. It's gotten worse. That's
Mm.
actually a location that I will not go to right now because of the allegations that are surrounding people that have worked there. Um
Ew,
We haven't heard.
interesting.
Well, yeah, wait. You mean like have recently worked there?
Yeah, the people that we
Uh
had on also don't
oh.
work there anymore because of issues that have been going on. They
Yeah.
separated, but they were very passionate about that location because
yeah,
they had
there's a lot
started
of
their
people that
investigations there.
yeah, there's a lot of people that are very passionate about Crescent. It's actually a location I would love to go to, but due to the controversy, in the I'm trying to choose my words wisely here.
Just throw them out there.
Um, from what I understand, there's been allegations with sexual misconduct with one or two of the people involved with the property. I don't really know too much about it, but from what my understanding is that there was somebody that's a convicted pedophile or something along those lines.
Oh,
Like
okay.
there's it's a convicted sex offender of some sort that has some sort of association with Crescent that caused a massive issue, and because of that, until it gets resolved, I won't. That's something I've got children. I won't touch that.
No,
I
absolutely.
Yeah.
won't go there.
Uh,
I won't risk ex-husbands trying to use something against. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
no, it's
there's
not worth
Yep.
if I
it.
remember
It's
correctly, they're not even allowing tours anymore in
yeah,
investigations. That
no, they
there's a
don't allow
couple
anything right now.
lawsuits that are involved there as well. But
Yeah,
yeah, so the tuberculosis stuff though, like that we had firsthand information given to us. It seems like forever ago, but I honestly just started this podcast in September. But um, it's crazy how much time has gone by with how many episodes. I just, I can't even recall a lot of it. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it. Um, but you had said the was it the one location in Wisconsin that you got to see that you had not even like known
oh,
about?
Broadhead Manor, that was a school. Yeah, that was
Can,
actually a school. And what's weird is if you look at all the dates on that property, they all there's a bunch of sixes involved with it. It's really weird. The first school was built, I think, in like the night, there was a first school that was built, then it was tore down, then the new school was built, and then it was added on to. It eventually ended up closing in like 1996. I can't remember all the dates off the top of my head right now, but there's like five or six dates involved with this property, and like ended up closing and it sat abandoned. And Bill bought it because he was going to turn it into like a Halloween haunt. And little did he know when he bought it, it actually was haunted. There's a lot of children's
Whoops.
spirits there, and there's actually an elemental on the property, and there's an elemental in the building.
Ooh.
So yeah, and there's a really nasty janitor that is still wandering the halls.
well,
So
what kind of activity did you get with the elemental? We haven't really talked a whole lot about that on the show yet. So,
when I was there, I was directed not to go to where the elemental is on the land because they had to have people come in and do stuff. So I didn't touch the elemental there, and I didn't really do anything in the building. Because like when I was there, it was just like giving the historical information. I did a walkthrough, took video, took pictures. Didn't really get a chance to do an investigation, but you will get to see me doing a few investigations there this year. They'll be on my YouTube, and you'll see me going live from there. So I just can't drop dates on those yet.
cool. Yeah, we'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely in a second here ask you about your favorite location as far as activity goes, but just to maybe be a little contrarian to maybe some interviews that you may have done in the past and keep things interesting. What location was like the biggest bust for you?
Okay, so I cannot say I've had a location be a bust for me. One thing that I've been learning is I'm a medium. And being a medium, I've been called a beacon of light with what I work with. It's not like I can sit here and I can give you a reading. Like there's a lot of mediums that can, help you connect to your dead relative, that can give you a reading about your future, your love life. I am a medium for the dead and for locations. I can walk into a location and I can read the location, and I can connect with the dead that are there.
Okay, so
So
that would
I
Yeah.
kind
definitely
of
help
draw
with
the
not ever
activity to
having.
me.
Right.
It's
And it's
I always feel bad because, and I've even explained this on a couple of my lives, like I feel bad for you guys because like not everybody gets kind of like the activity that I get. I
yeah.
just kind of draw it to me because there's a lot that want um I've had a lot of spirits that have come to me and followed me out of locations because I was considered like their safe person. I was kind of like unknowingly kidnapping them and bringing them out to where they could get to the light because they were stuck. Um, I've I've had some really bad things kind of latch onto me. I actually had to go through a holy fire Reiki session. After going to Hinsdale in October, I had a really nasty SOB from there decide that he really liked me. He followed me and he would show up at different locations coming through like necrophonic apps, spirit boxes, you name it. He was coming through and kind of wrecking the investigation. You know, he'd be yelling at me and calling me a whore and all this stuff. And people are like, what? It was really weird. But like I ended up at the Bel Air house, and Bel Air is such an amazing location. If you'll hear like people talk about sentient buildings, like how they can come to life. They call people. They ask, you know, like you can go to a location and like you feel a calling to go back, you know, and it's not so much the spirits, it's also the location because it's like the building like breathes. Like when you go to Monroe, the house will even like stutter and shake at times as if it's taking a deep breath. It's amazing. I actually had that happen when I was there. Like it was around 3 o'clock in the morning and it literally sounded like the top floor shifted to the left. And like a half hour later, the bottom floor sounded like it shifted over to the left to match the top floor. It was the craziest thing. Um,
I think it's called a
Do
poor foundation.
No, actually, the foundation's not that bad, believe it or not. But I mean, why would the top floor shift? You know, it was weird.
Well,
Um,
I do have to say that I think it's really cool that you're a medium because I'm a 2XL. So
oh, I,
I'm going. I'll leave.
He
I'm
nailed
leaving.
it. He nailed it.
yeah,
I'll give
I
you
think
that
the
one. You
door
nailed
is
it.
over to the left on my screen.
It is. It's to the
Okay,
right.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm
You can
going.
see yourself out now. So
Yeah, I'll see you.
Now, is that something
Like,
that
we
you
just-
experience? Yep. There we go. Now we can get to the real questions here. Is that something that you only experience because of your abilities as a medium, or is that something that because like you described it as a sentient house that others have experienced without necessarily having that connection?
no, others can have had that experience too. Like Pam, like she's like they've even got it like on video where like Monroe like shakes like at
That's
certain times. Like it's taking
super
a breath,
interesting.
like it's exhaling. Bel Air affects people differently. Like for me, it made me really anxious. Now, see, growing up, I've been dealing with paranormal since I was 6. I've only been in the paranormal field since, you know, June 30th of 2023. That's when I took my first official road trip and documented it. And brought everyone along for the ride. And so as I've been finding myself on my journey, um, as I've been healing, because I went through a divorce and my kids sat me down and they were like, Mom, you need to find yourself, pursue your passion. You've always had a passion for the paranormal, start pursuing it. And so that's kind of what gave me my kickstart into what I'm doing now. And so through the paranormal, I've been healing, I've been finding myself, I'm loving myself, you know, and um as I'm healing those, you know, when you go through trauma, they say a lot of times when you go through trauma, it can either open you up to having abilities or you shut down because you go like protective mode. You build those walls subconsciously to protect yourself because of the trauma you've gone through. I built the walls to protect myself. So as I've been healing, those walls have been coming down and my abilities have been coming back. What's up? Okay. So, sorry, Nick just came in.
That's okay.
Was that a ghost?
No, that was my boyfriend still. um,
Who's a ghost?
yeah, well, I got a funny story, but let me finish. No, he's very much human. He's the one that I live with in Indiana. So, he's actually the founder of Old World Paranormal Society. They've been around since 2017. So,
Yeah,
Nick,
I follow on Facebook, but for whatever reason, I don't know. I can't find it on TikTok. I don't know if I'm
yeah, if you're
spelling
on
it
TikTok,
incorrectly.
look for OWPS and you'll find Old World. Nick doesn't have his own TikTok. He uses the Old World.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I've been trying to keep an eye on that.
Yeah. You should definitely talk to Nick. He could tell you a whole bunch of amazing stuff.
Oh,
They work
absolutely.
with residential and it's amazing the stuff that Old World does. I couldn't be more proud of him and what the team does. They've become like family to me. Absolutely adore each and every one of them. But so I wouldn't say that necessarily. Like, I mean, I believe that people experience things on different levels. For me, as my walls have come down and I've been healing, my abilities have been coming back, but I'm learning how to deal with those abilities. And like Bel Air, with it being a living being, so to speak, on its own accord. Like when we went for Friendsgiving, and Nick and I were invited to join Bump in the Night Society paranormal group. They're like family to us. So we went, and like Nick got real tired. He just wanted, like, he was just exhausted the whole time. Like he just slept a lot. Me, on the other hand, it made me really anxious and like kicked my anxiety up, and I didn't know how to verbalize what I was going through. Like it made me embarrassed that I was feeling that way. So I didn't really like say anything to Nick or anybody else, because I was like, there's no, like, what the hell's going on? Like it didn't make sense to me at the time. And it ended up opening up a door for the thing that was following me from Hinsdale to attach to me. Because, like, things can latch on if you're not protected. They can latch on real quick and attach to you. I have protections that I use. And so when you're protected, they look for like that little chink in the armor to get in, and that was my chink in the armor. And that's when he ended up getting attached, and I had to go to a Holy Fire Reiki session to get this nasty, spirit off of me. He wasn't, he never harmed me, but he was very sexually deviant. Like when he would speak to me, he was very degrading. He was just really nasty all the way around. I actually just went back for New Year's with Nick and a really good friend of ours, Gil. He's like a brother to me, with Spooky Ventures. And I've got another one following me from Hinsdale, but this one's completely different. And ironically, we actually found his name out. Can you guess what his name is?
What is
Artemis.
what's the that real famous love guy? Casanova?
No.
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 Frank.
Okay, what's my boyfriend's name?
Nick.
Oh, is this his name is Nick as well? Oh, interesting.
Yeah. He's actually between the ages of 17 to 19, and he died unexpectedly. He was actually showing off he was on land that's connected to Hinsdale. At the time, it was connected to the Hinsdale house, so he was on farmland. And I've had a couple of mediums back me up on this. He was basically showing off and died. And it was real quick. It was sudden. And he was trying to show off for the girl that he liked. And I evidently remind him of her. And he doesn't know that he's dead because of how sudden his death was and unexpected. So, like, he wants to be part of, like, while we were there, he kept trying to help with the investigation, and he followed me out of there. And like any investigation I've done since Hinsdale, he's shown himself, and he's like trying to help. He wants to be part of the team, and he's highly infatuated with me. He protects me, is what he has, told a couple of the mediums that have been around me that have picked up on him. Like, he's actually here at this investigation right now. So I've got my boyfriend Nick that I live with, and then I've got the follower Nick who really likes me. Yeah.
That you also live with.
And so, like, and it's funny because we've got the Necrophonic app running, and you keep hearing Nick come through, and I'm like, I don't know which Nick you're talking to. Like, are you telling me that Nick? Like, what? Could you not have had a different name, please? Like,
Or a middle initial. Something.
Right? Like, can I have your last name or something? That way I can, like, start telling you two apart. Like, can you tell me that through the Necrophonic or Spirit Box?
Do you know how he passed? Was he like carrying chairs at like a youth group, or was he juggling chainsaws, or?
I just know that he was showing off.
Yeah.
And it was basically a farm accident. It was real quick. So
was he doing wheelies on a tractor, or?
I imagine, because of what I have even seen him wearing, it involved horses on the farm. And so I have
Okay.
like the impression that I've gotten is he fell and he broke his neck.
Yeah. I don't do horses just for that reason. I remember being real young and I was supposed to be on like this casual horse thing where they just kind of walk you around and the horse took off and ran through the woods and I was holding on to whatever the little stupid handle thing is on a saddle.
Oh, horn.
Yeah,
I used
whatever.
to
So,
professionally train horses, so I know what you're
so
talking about.
I was holding on to that and I was so small at the time and the horse is so fast. Like my feet were like kicking up in the air behind me. This is one of the most terrifying experiences of my life.
Oh
So
my god, that would be scary.
Still
I
haunts him
can
to this day.
yeah, I can relate to Nick in that regard then because I don't go near horses. I don't let my kids near horses because it was such a terrifying moment for me.
Yeah.
But Hinsdale is that the location where I remember I was watching and you were there by yourself because they went out for snacks or something and it was just
Yes, and I
you and
was
the
there
dog.
for a little bit, and I heard the female conversation, and the dog was
Yeah.
going ape shit. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I was watching that. I was present for that.
yeah.
Um,
I'll
and
actually be there again, but 100% solo on the 26th of this month, and then I'll be back again with my friend Jackie on the 29th. I'm a
interesting.
glutton
So
for punishment. What can I
yeah,
say?
you're super into that house. Um,
Yeah.
what?
Well, like I love the restoration project that's going on there because, like, I'm friends with the owner Dan, and he bought it was actually set for demolition, and he bought it to set it up as a place like to as a museum and a research facility for the paranormal. If you've ever watched Paranormal Lockdown, Mary's room is where Nick Groff got attacked. Um, I actually, when I was there in October, I slept for 2 nights in Mary's room and had the most terrifying experience of my life to date in Mary's room on the second night.
What was
So,
that?
um, so it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. We were all going to bed. We had done, at this point, I had done a total of 3 Estes sessions while I was there. And all three of the Estes sessions, it basically alluded to like a sexual assault on me. And it talked about holding Nick back, like get Nick, hold Nick back. And oh, she's, like she's hot. Yeah, she's mine. I mean, just really like if you go back to my YouTube, like all three of my Estes sessions are on there and you can actually hear what I'm talking about right now. And so like I was kind of disturbed by everything and everybody was like just at their wits end and like we're just going to bed. So I'm actually texting my Nick and I'm like, hey, good night. And as I'm saying good night to him, I hear knocking coming from the closet in Claire's room, which is where the portal is. And when the knocking there stops, the knocking on the outside of the bedroom windows in Clara's room starts. Now, if you've never seen Hinsdale House, there's no way to get to these windows. You would literally need a ladder to get to these windows. There's no tree, there's no trellis, you can't climb up one side and like hang from the roof. Like you can't get to these windows. You would have to have a ladder. So when that started, like I actually felt like absolutely terrified, couldn't move. Now, one thing that you'll hear consistently about Hinsdale is the flies. The flies aren't your typical little house flies. The flies there are like on steroids. They're like the size of like baby grapes or like pebbles, and they're kamikaze pilots. When activity starts to pick up at Hinsdale, these damn flies will start to attack you. Like they actually fly at your face and they'll bounce off your face. And then it's like kamikaze pilot, they go right back up and they come right back down at you again. Um, and so like the flies are like starting to like attack my face. Now I'm able to move just enough to like pull my blanket up and I've got it like right around my eyes. I'm laying on my left side and I'm staring at the wall across from the bed. Then there's a table in the corner of the room that's got all the dolls situated on top of it. So I'm staring at the dolls and I'm feeling absolutely like terrified, like can't move. The investigator in me is like screaming like, hey bitch, get your phone, start recording. But I couldn't move for the life of me. Like I moved the blanket and that was about it. Like I'm actually like holding the blanket and I'm like, no, I can't move. The knocking on the window stops and it starts inside the house now on the wall where the closet door is. It goes straight down that wall. hits the wall that's like the stairwell wall, wraps around that wall. When it hits the door frame, the knocking stops. As soon as that knocking stops, you hear footsteps. Somebody's walking up the stairs. It gets to the top step and the walking stops. Now, it's got hardwood floors. I should still be hearing walking, and I'm not hearing walking. Now, as I'm hearing the footsteps coming up the stairs, in my mind, I'm going through everybody that I know that is sleeping downstairs. There's 2 women. The footsteps are way too heavy to be the 2 women, so I automatically rule them out. The footsteps are too light to be the heaviest gentleman that's sleeping in Mikey's room. So I'm thinking it's either my friend Jeff Fent or it's the other gentleman that's part of the paranormal group that invited me out to join them. And like, so I'm waiting for somebody to show up. I don't hear footsteps. And at that moment, like when the footsteps stop, I'm staring at the dolls, and it's not like a shadow was casted. It didn't like get shadowed. The dolls went to black, like completely black. I could not see the dolls. I could not see the table. And in my head, I'm just like, shit, this is not good. Well, then like the area between the table and the bed, I can still see that fills in with black. And I'm just like, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad. Like, I'm like, hyperventilating. And you know when somebody walks up behind you or walks up next to you and they lean down, like they lean down to like whisper something, and you can like feel their presence, like
Yeah.
you know somebody's leaning next to you. I feel and I know, it's like without a shadow of doubt, I know something is now standing next to the bed and they're leaning down in my face. And I'm just like, but the way the blanket is, like, I'm not seeing it. Like, I'm looking where the table's supposed to be, but I'm not even seeing the table. But I can't see like what's next to me, but I can feel that something's right here. And all of a sudden, it's like from the bowels of hell, this deep exhale, and it sounds real masculine, and it's real close to a growl, but it's not a growl. Just this deep exhale just comes out right in my face, and it's hot, and I'm just like a breath, and it's long, and it stops, and as soon as it stops, I'm just like, I gotta see who's standing here. And I'm just thinking, please be human, please be human, please be human. And I pull the blanket back, and nobody's standing there. I don't even think my feet hit the floor. I jumped out of that bed straight out the door into Clara's room. Now, here's the ironic thing. There's a married couple sleeping in Clara's bed. And when I say sleeping, I mean like they're out. As soon as I jumped into Clara's room, though, they woke up and they're like, "What's going on, Brie? Is everything okay?" Like they're sitting up in bed, like, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, no. Like I turn around to face them, and like I didn't even realize this till they told me the next day. Like tears were like streaming down my face. I was like shaking, like hypothermic shaking, because I was just so terrified. So like I filled them on everything that just transpired. And as soon as I get done talking, you hear movement. And I'm like, "Do you guys hear this?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, somebody must be in the kitchen. They're probably coming up because you're kind of loud." And I'm looking down the stairwell, and I can see like, the motion sensor lights are on. I can see the night light on, reflecting up the stairs from the kitchen, and there's no shadows. And I'm like, nobody's coming up from the kitchen, guys. Like nobody's down there. Like everybody's still sleeping. And as soon as I say that, in Laura's room, which is the room, like if you come up the stairs, Laura's room's right to the right, Clara's is to the left. In Laura's room, you hear something climb up the wall. Now, I'm not just saying like you hear something scratching. It sounds like it's got freaking hooks. Like you hear it in the wall, like you hear it climb up the wall and then drag itself across the wall. I'm expecting some cryptid to like stick its head out at me, and I'm thinking hopefully I'm fat enough to make this thing happy and they can land on their feet when they jump out the damn window, right? It was terrifying. Nothing like the as it drags itself across, it hits where the door is and nothing shows up. Now, both mornings, Saturday morning and Sunday morning, because we were there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Saturday morning and Sunday morning, we checked Laura's room, and that bed was completely tossed. We had to remake that bed both mornings. So I don't know what's in Laura's room, but it's not nice.
No, it definitely
No.
sounds very, not nice,
Yep. Hey,
actually.
listen, I'm sorry, it was me.
Now, I will say, like, I took like 10 minutes to calm down, but I did march my ass back into Mary's bedroom, and I did lay back down, and I did fall asleep. So I did conquer my fear. So
That's good too.
I did conquer Mary's room 2 nights in a row. But yeah, I had my most terrifying experience at Hinsdale. But I love what Dan's doing with Hinsdale. You know, like he's refurbishing the house back to what it originally was. He's actually had LiDAR out there and found unmarked graves on the property. And so they're marked with red flags. And what he wants to do with the restoration project is he wants to raise money so he can put fencing around these unmarked graves to honor the dead that are there. So, I mean, he's doing a lot of stuff that's positive with the property, trying to respect, honor, and restore not just the land and the house, but also, you know, bring honor to the dead that are there. So I love that. And I have to fully support that 110%.
Yeah, absolutely. That is definitely respectable way to go about it, especially when with I feel like this is kind of picking up steam. The public locations and tours and the overnight trips that people can do. And that's absolutely something that a landlord could take advantage of. So the fact that that person is so respectful of the location and building fences for the graves and stuff, that I think that is something to be applauded.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And
Yep.
that hour blew by really fast. We're coming close to the end. I feel like we barely even scratched the surface with all
I
of
know. You guys are going to have to have
the
me back on.
yeah, absolutely. We will definitely do that. At the
Do
end
you
of the
want me to
show.
tell you real quick what I'm doing, where I'm
Yeah,
at?
yeah, sure. Yeah, if you
Yeah,
have a
yeah,
couple
yeah,
minutes.
All
absolutely.
right. So this house I lived in for the past 3 years, and I will not give the name of where we are at because this is a home that I have rented, and I do not want the landlord coming back at me legally um for giving the information out. While we were on TikTok, we were telling everybody on TikTok it's an undisclosed haunted location. We were telling them that I have lived here for the past 3 years with my children, and it's never, to my knowledge, been investigated. The home was built in 1910. I do not know the history on the property, the land. I don't know any of the history besides the date that it was built. When I moved in, I knew that there was definitely a spirit upstairs and one downstairs. I've got brand new washer and dryer, and like my dryer is one of those dryers where you gotta like push it in real hard because it locks in, and then to open it, you gotta pull it with everything you got. And I will be loading the washer up and have the dryer shut, dryer running, and that door will come flying open and slam into my hip. You know, it happened to my son, it's happened to me. There's been other things that have happened in this house. And so I've always wanted to investigate it. I always knew that there was something going on here. I've been living in Fort Wayne for the past 2 months with my boyfriend Nick, like I stated. We're just now getting all of my belongings to Fort Wayne. Uh, we're having a reunion now. So being reunited with all my stuff. And so figured with us taking everything tomorrow to Fort Wayne, why not take tonight to investigate? And as far as I know, this is the first time the property's been investigated, and the spirits here have had a chance to give a voice to their stories. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Super,
Yeah,
super
you guys
interesting.
in Fort Wayne, you're not too far away from me. I'm in Cleveland.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and we have some investigations coming up that are on more so on the western side of Ohio that maybe we can collaborate on
Oh, I
in the
would love to
future.
do that. Definitely reach out to me. I
Yeah,
mean, my
it'll be in the
schedule
summer at some point. So
no, that's perfect. I mean, my schedule it has been filling up for 2000 for 2024,
yeah,
but I'm always looking
well,
for stuff to do,
with
and I love doing collaborations.
without giving away
Yeah.
the surprise, I will say that the one place that we are investigating is supposed it's not an indoor location, it's an outdoor location with a lot of different um buildings and like vehicles and stuff that are left there, and it's supposedly a hellmouth. So
Yeah, so we're super looking forward to that.
I'll when the show's over, I'll tell you the name of it so you
Yeah,
can look it
yeah.
up. But
Oh,
But
well, I'm excited. Yes, I would love to go and do that with you guys. That would be
yeah.
amazing.
So
yeah,
real quick, go ahead, and I know like on the banner here I have a bunch of the links, but we have a much bigger audio presence than we do video right now. So if you have any links that you want to get out, you could go ahead and use this time to plug them, and I will include all links and descriptions when things are released as well.
Okay. Well, here's something new that just happened this week too. Is I just got asked to join Studio Six Media Productions. So anything, if you see Studio Six Media Productions on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok, that is a way to reach me. I'm now a part of that with JD Hill and Kelly Schaefer, who do like the Cemetery Files. Um,
Okay, cool.
so that's a whole new platform that I'm going to be starting to work on here now this month. Um, but for me personally, you can find me on TikTok. Let's see, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. I'm under Paranormal Trippin, TRIPPIN Brie, BRIE. And then Facebook is under Brie Hollingshead. And then Twitter, I still haven't figured out how to change that handle. I'm hoping I don't have to create a whole new page. But that one, the handle is at Breeze, like the wind breeze, baby Bree.
Okay, cool. I hope
I think I hit everything.
yeah, I hope some listeners follow those links and check your stuff out, because I think what you're doing is, like I've said, so unique and interesting that I've been very entertained by what you all are doing, and I think it's fascinating, and I'll be one of those people that says to keep at it, because I think it's it's gonna blow up into something that you probably don't even expect.
Well,
And
thank you.
and
I'm excited to see where it goes for sure.
yeah, absolutely. And again, thank you for taking the time to talk to us, especially right in the middle of an investigation.
Oh, my pleasure. Anytime. I would love to
absolutely.
come back and talk to you guys. I mean, there's we just
Yeah,
scraped the surface. There's so many good stories and so many. I would love to get your guys' opinion on some stuff too. So,
awesome. Yeah, we will definitely have you back. Uh, but yeah, we'll have some really cool stories that we can talk about on the next episode. And so, everybody, again, check out the links and like, subscribe, all of that stuff that we're always begging you to do. And yeah, have a good night.
Squatch you later.
Thanks for squatching, everyone.